Hi, this is Kevin. Welcome to my video on preparing for our Jupyter notebook assignment. And I'm recording this in uh, the fall of 2022. And the content in terms of the video tutorials that you're going to be following as you're doing the assignment, they're a little out of date. Not very, they're out of date in terms of some of the minor details. And so I just want you to watch this one first, and I'll straighten you out on the minor details, and then you won't get confused. So there are two sets of details that I don't want you to get confused about. One has to do with which Anaconda virtual env or virtual environment you're going to be using. And the other one has to do with, just a couple of things you'll see in the videos that maybe you're not quite right. Okay? So let's talk about the virtual env first. Okay? So if I can get my slide to go. Yeah. So here in the fall of 2022, before we started the course, when we were doing our computing setup, we used Anaconda Navigator to create a virtual environment that we called E4 Trainer Python course. And we've been using it all along. So this is the last of the coding assignments. So we've already turned in like 11 coding assignments using this virtual env. And we're just going to use the same one for this assignment as well. So this virtual env includes Python 3.10, and it includes all of the Jupyter packages, which we included by picking this thing called the Jupyter meta package. And I'll show you that in a minute using Anaconda Navigator. Now, the rest of the things that are a little bit out of date in the videos that you're going to play are this. You'll notice that the Python programs that we write have two comments at the top that include the name of the file and the intention of the program. And that's the way they do it in the Zell textbook. But we haven't been doing that in our course. We've been just documenting the intention of the program using a docstring. So use the docstrings in yours and don't follow the out-of-date practice that's shown in the tutorial. Likewise, there's some string concatenation that's used in particular when we're combining the name of the directory that holds the data with the file name. We use just, in the tutorial, we're using the basic concatenation operator, the plus sign to concatenate the strings. And more recently, we've been doing that kind of things using F strings. So use F strings, okay? And then the third thing that could get you kind of turned around is in the tutorial when I open a Jupyter notebook in PyCharm, the editor has two panels, okay? And that's the way it used to look in PyCharm about a year ago, maybe a little over a year ago. And it doesn't look like that anymore because they gave up on that. And so the Python editor for Jupyter notebooks looks as much like Jupyter notebooks look in the browser as possible. Okay, so don't go looking for how to turn on the two-panel version of the editor because it's been discontinued. All right, and I think that's it. All right, it is. So let's get started here. I'm just going to first, let's take a look at Anaconda Navigator. I'm doing this on my Mac, but starting up Anaconda Navigator should be pretty easy for you if you're on the Mac or on Windows. So it's kind of a slow loader, but here it is. And over in the left panel, if you click on Environments, you'll see a list of all the virtual M's that you have. And I have a whole lot of them, but you may only have the one that we created for the course. And the one that we created for the course is called E4 Trainer Python course. And that should be right here. So if you click on that, it should load up the list of packages that have been associated with that virtual env. Okay? And so the two things I said that we included were for Python, we've got Python 3.10. Okay? Most of us probably have 3.10.4. And then for the Jupyter, if you just go up and look for the word Jupyter, okay, there's this thing called the Jupyter meta package, which is the combination of all the Jupyter things. So this is the way to say, I want all the Jupyter junk, and we included that. Okay, so those are the things that you should have had in your virtual M for this course all through the semester. Now, if you didn't, in particular, if you didn't have the Jupyter stuff, well, then add that. To add that, you would have to go to from installed to not installed, and then you would have to search for Jupyter, and when you found that Jupyter package, you would have to check it, and then you would have to go down to the lower right and click apply, and then you have to click on apply again. But most of it should already have it installed, so when we look at the installed packages, we should be able to see the Jupyter stuff already there. Okay, so if it looks like you might have to do something else with a virtual env, well, that's old information. You don't need to do it. So when we come to PyCharm, let's open up PyCharm here, and let's create a new project that uses Jupyter notebooks. Okay, so we're going to click on New Project. Okay, and my projects always kind of automatically go in my directory, my Python course projects, and we called this, let's call this new notebook 44. Okay, you can call yours whatever you want. Okay, and then you may have this drop down. It drop down like we see it here, or if we click on this little triangle, it may close up. Okay, here's where you pick the virtual env. All right, so if we open this up, okay, we don't want to pick a new environment. We want to click the radio button for previously configured interpreter. And we should be able to find the one we want in the drop-down list. So if we click on the drop-down list, we should be able to find E4 Trainer Python course that's associated with Python 3.10. Now, I've been using this copy for a long time, so I've got a whole bunch of these. But if I look through here, if I look through here, I should be able to find an E4 Trainer Python course that has Python 3.10. And so that's the one I'm going to pick. That should be a lot easier for you. And then the last thing here, there's a checkbox to create this main .py welcome script. And this is just a nuisance, so I keep this unchecked. And then I click create. And my copy of PyCharm came up on the other screen, so I'll pull it over here. Okay, and I've got the Git version control system installed, and you probably don't. So you probably don't have to close that dialog. And just to confirm, down here on the right, you should see your Python interpreter, as they call it. That's our virtual M. You can see that we were using Python 3.10, and we're using it from E4 Trainer Python course. Okay, if you don't see that there, well, then you need to to back up and try again. So here we have a new project, and if we want to create a notebook file, we can highlight the name of the project over here and right click and choose new, and right under Python file is Jupyter Notebook, and provided that you've got Jupyter properly installed, well, then you should see that option. So you pick that, and you have to give it a name, and let's just call it First Notebook. Okay, and enter. And it's going to open up a notebook editor. Again, there's only going to be a single panel here. The double paneled version was discontinued more than a year ago, and it was worse than the current version. So if you see it in the tutorial videos and you think you like it, you probably wouldn't have. I can tell you firsthand. Okay. Now, it is possible to code in the notebook right here in PyCharm. I typically don't. Okay, and if you switch back and forth between this editor window in PyCharm and the browser, you'll find that saving changes and getting the other one to update is kind of bulky. Okay, you can get it done, but I would say just do a little bit of work here, and then go and work in the browser. That's what I do. So each of the cells in the notebook is either a code cell, in which we in this class put Python code, or it's a markdown cell, and there's a little drop down box up here. So if we want to begin with markdown, if we want to put a title here, we'll just click here and pick markdown. And then if we want a big title, we're going to put in £1, and for some reason that's not going in, £, space, and then called my first notebook. Okay, and if we do a shift enter, it will render that as though we're on a web page, and that's like an HTML H1. Okay, so that's how we get a markdown cell. How do we get a code cell? Well, code cells are the default. So you can see that this is a code cell here. And we can type any proper Python into a code cell. So we could type in something like value gets assigned 25. Okay. And then if we want to execute that, we would do a shift enter. And we can see that we have that there. And then in the next cell, we might want to print value, and we could do a shift enter on that. And you can see that it executed, and then we see the output right under the cell. Another thing that we can do that you might not automatically think of, we haven't been working a lot at the Python console in the REPL, the REPL. read, evaluate, print loop. But that functionality is provided here. So if we just type in the name of a variable and execute the cell with the shift enter, it will show that as the output just as it would have in the REPL. Okay. And then we can do things like we could say something like value plus equal 21, right? And we could execute that. And let's type in value again. And we can see that it's up to 46. Okay, we can type in more than one statement into the same cell. So we could say something like first name gets assigned Kevin. And then we could say last name gets assigned trainer. And then we could say something like name gets assigned an F string that includes first name. And you can see we get some auto completion. That's improved over the years. And then a space, and then curly braces again, last name. And the auto completion for this is improved over the years. One of the reasons that the auto completion is so good that we're still working in the editor in PyCharm, and it's got better code completion than you'll see when we're just working in the browser. Okay, and then we could say that we want to print name. And if we execute that whole cell, it's going to print my name, Kevin Trainer. Okay, so so we have this. This should be saved. Pretty much clicking on a different part of the notebook will cause the file to save here in PyCharm, just like it does in the rest of the text editors. Now, the first time we executed a code cell, there was a link down here at the bottom that we could have clicked on to go to the web page for this. Now we have to find the server. So to get that link to come up, we go to the lower left, and you can see it says Jupyter server started at, and it has a URL. We just click over that. It'll pop up a panel on the right-hand side, and there's a link for open in browser, and it just opened it up. So what I guess we opened up in the browser is the Jupyter server, and you can see the directory of the notebooks we have. It's using the directory of our PyCharm project. So these are the notebooks in our PyCharm project. And if we click on first notebook, we'll see that it's right there. So that's all going pretty well. Okay. Now, I could have you type in a lot more code, but the fact is that the style of Python that I teach in this course for notebooks is that we're not going to write a lot of Python in the notebook. If we've got a fair amount of code to execute, we're going to write a function. We're going to put that in some .py file in our PyCharm project, and then we're going to import it into the notebook, and we're going to run it. And I don't show you that here, but I show you that in subsequent tutorial videos. Okay. Now, is there anything else I want to show? I want to show that you can actually execute these out of order. Okay, so for instance, um, we set the value to 25. If you look at these, they've executed in order, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We can come back to 1 though and highlight the cell and do a shift enter, and then it'll re-execute that line. So uh, the variable value is associated with 25 again now instead of 46. And so if we go down here, even though we printed out at 46 the last time, if we skip down here and we do shift enter, well, it's going to be equal to 25 now. And people who use notebooks as they're discovering their data solution, they often will backtrack and do things like this. And I'm not going to say that's a bad practice, because if you do it judiciously, it's a fine thing to do. But one thing you have to be sure of before you're done is that your notebook code gives the right answer if executed from beginning to end. And here's how you do this. You can go up to the menu and click on kernel, okay? And you can just click on restart and run all, and then you have to confirm it, and then it gets rid of all the output and runs it from beginning to end. Now, if you do this and you run your notebook in order and you don't get the right answer, well, you still have some work to do. Okay? When you're done with a notebook and you want to make sure it's saved, you can click on the diskette icon here, or you could have gone to File and say File, Save and Checkpoint. That does the same thing. Okay, and then if you come back to your, if you come back to PyCharm, usually if you click in the editor somewhere, it will update for you. Oh, we didn't change anything there. So let's change something here. So let's just add, let's say text gets assigned the value, every good boy does fine. Okay. All right. And then let's execute that. And then let's type in text in the REPL. And then we see that. Okay. And then let's save this. And it says this is different than the file on the disk. Do we want to overwrite? Yes, we do. And if we come back here, it automatically updated. Sometimes you have to click in it. And I'm just going to warn you, I have not had the best luck of going back and forth between these two modes on the same notebook. I think if I did a little bit more and got a little better at it, I could get it to work. But what I typically do is I get the notebook started here. I put in one line of code and I execute that in order to fire up the server. And then I simply go to the browser and work in the browser. Okay? You'll find the style that works for you. Okay, well that's enough to get you started and keep you from being disoriented by old instructions. And I'm going to say bye until next time. Bye-bye.